Hey, what's going on, guys? The Real Grade line has turned 40, and to celebrate, we've got the first version 2.0 out in the Real Grade line, and of course, it's the Granddaddy RX-78-2 Gundam. I'm super excited about this. I really like the look of this. The original 1.0 RX-78-2 Real Grade is one that a lot of people take issue with. A lot of people don't really like it that much, and I will say, it's not a perfect kit by any means. It certainly could use some improvements, so really happy to see this one. Not only is it improved in terms of the construction, but it's also an improvement, at least in my opinion, subjectively, in the overall design. So I'm really looking forward to checking this one out. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So first off, of course, we've got some new box art here in the same box art style that's the usual for the Real Grade line. We've got a full render over here, a close-up over here on this side, showing off some new details, all the new design proportions and everything, new marking scheme that we have for this one as well too, all that good stuff. The version 2.0 logo and the Gundam 45th anniversary logo right there. Also on the ends of the box, you just got the same thing there, this being again number 40 in the line. And then on the bottom side of the box here, we got some images of the kit in different poses here. We do have some text that's in Japanese and in English, and then a close-up image of the head there once again. Also the inner frame, this is letting you know it's going to be 125 millimeters in height. There's a little bit about the core fighter inside there as well, and then an in-depth analysis if you want to scan that QR code. That'll just tell you like some more about the kit there on the website. Going around here to the top side, my box is a little bit damaged, excuse that, but this is going to be showing some more poses here. Of course, one thing that you should obviously expect is going to be amazing posability, amazing articulation here with this. There's a couple images showing that off, and then of course letting you know that you don't need glue, you don't necessarily need to paint, and you can just use nippers for the construction. Here's how it's going to look directly out of the box with the stickers applied without any painting or anything. Looks pretty awesome. So let's go ahead and crack this open. First thing first, we've got some Real Grade style sticker decals there, and a whole bunch of good stuff. And this one, interestingly enough, going to be the first one to not use any of the pre-articulated, like pre-molded inner frame joint type runners that of course started with the 1.0 of this kit way back upon the release of the 1.0 being the very first in the Real Grade line. Over the years, and especially in the more recent kits, we've seen much less of that. Definitely not the full inner frames like they started out with, and these did just be like a few pieces. This one has none of that, so it's really interesting that it's completely gone away now. But here is the instruction manual on the back side. Again, kind of as per usual, we've got the decal guide right here. There's going to be our color guide down here at the bottom as well. And this is all available there for you in Japanese and in English as well, although it's going to be pretty straightforward in terms of the colors. We have our typical white, off-white, dark gray, blue, yellow, red. One thing that also seems to be the case with this, which is again a kind of a divergence from what we typically expect from the Real Grade line, and again especially from the 1.0 of this kit, is there's not going to be as much color separation. I think the original kit had 3 different shades of white, 2 different shades of red, 2 different shades of blue. For example, something that's pretty common to the Real Grade line. We're not really going to have that so much with this release, so that's another kind of interesting change. We do still have some text in the manual here in different spots talking about different aspects of the kit. This text box right here talking about the inner frame. So you've got that there in Japanese and in English. You'll notice we have color images for like the introduction to each section of the building process. Most of the build then is going to be just in black and white with some highlighted pink bits just to kind of show you certain areas and bits that you need to pay close attention to. So do make sure you pay close attention to those. Opening it up to the center pages of the manual here, we've got a bunch more text and images. As far as the images go, it's basically a lot of what we saw on the outside of the box, but certainly some additional text in here. Again, everything's in Japanese and in English. You can see some more about the weapons there as well and posability. There's also a bit in here showing the difference between unpainted with the decals, no decals, and with panel lining, and then additionally with a little bit of weathering on there as well, just kind of a sample to show you kind of a couple of different looks that you can go for with this without actually fully painting the kit, just doing some different work on it. Moving ahead through the rest of the manual though, once we get to building the weapons and then how to equip them, how to use the weapons and everything, that's pretty much it. There's not really too much else to see here in the manual. So other than this section here, which is kind of showing a little bit about how some of the armor panels move there, which is kind of good to note. But let's go ahead and take a look at that sticker decal sheet. Now this is definitely smaller than what we saw with the 1.0 if I remember correctly. There is a lot of stickers on here, so maybe it's a similar amount, but the actual paper does seem to be a little bit smaller. Once again, we've got some options for like these really bright, shiny foil stickers over here. Some of these are going to go probably in on the inner frame, some for the cameras, some for the eyes, and then sticker decals for around on the kit here, mostly in gray, red, and white there, as you can see. But getting into the runners then, we are going to have some beam saber effect parts here on runner SB13. This is the longer style 1/44 scale beam saber effect parts. And then runner A here is going to be in our typical Gundam tricolors here, yellow, red, and blue. And it does look to be like just one shade of blue, one shade of red, and then obviously just one shade of yellow there as well for some of these parts. Here's where you can see my runner got a little damaged from the box being damaged, but the parts look okay. Runner B here is also a 4-color runner with some more red parts, a clear red part up here, a clear blue part over here, and then some off-white parts right there. Runners C and D then are going to be some more parts here in an off-white for most of the armor. You can see there's parts for the V-fin and some weapons parts on there as well. And then runner E is going to be in a little bit darker, somewhat light gray kind of color here. So that is going to give us a little bit of two-tone white for the armor. And then for the rest of our runners here, F, G, H, and I are going to be in dark gray, but you'll notice F, G, and H are in a little bit darker color. Runner I is in a little bit lighter, sort of medium gray color, so we'll have a little bit of color difference there for the inner frame, but that's what these last 4 runners are going to be. All this kind of inner frame and mechanical detail parts. There you can see some parts for the hands, inside of the armor panels, things like that for like the back side of the skirt armor. Here you can see some weapons parts on that runner. And then finally here on runner I, some more parts for the inner frame, the back side of the shield, and a lot of great details throughout, definitely. So let me go ahead and get this kit built up and we'll see how it looks. Alright guys, here is the kit all built up. Check out the live stream if you missed that, but you guys didn't really need me to tell you how awesome this kit's going to be, so there's a couple of key points that I want to focus on in the review portion of this video, and that's going to be, there's a number of main differences from this and the 1.0 that I just want to address. So for anybody who might be thinking about, you know, which version do I want to get, or if I already have the 1.0, is it worth getting this version? Because just on like surface level, obviously the kit looks different, just the design of this is different from the 1.0, and whether you like one design over the other, it's easy to tell that just by looking at the kit and just, you know, saying, oh, I like that design or I don't like that one. And so there's a few things going on that I think are worth talking about in a bit more detail, differences between the two. But let's just first check out the accessories that we've got here to work with. And so the first thing here for accessories, we're going to talk about hand options. Now this is one of the key differences between the 1.0 and now the 2.0. We have for this one no more articulated hands, which with the first kit were just bad. You did have a couple of options, but with this one we only have fixed posed hand options, including these closed fists here. We've also got a set of open expressive hands like this, and one thing you'll notice too about all these hand options, really nicely detailed. And then we've got a set of weapon holding hands here for the shield and or beam sabers there. And finally for the right side only, we have a trigger finger hand for the weapon, either the beam rifle or the bazooka. And on that note, let's go ahead and take a look at this. This does have a handle which will move forward and back. The white piece here at the front half is a single piece, so no seam line there. On the back half, this is 2 pieces sandwiched together. But you can see here where that seam line is, it is a panel line detail there to cover that up, so you're not going to have a seam line there. So no seam lines anywhere on this bazooka whatsoever. It does have a nice design. The barrel does extend out like that, forward and back for when in use. Some really nice detail around here on the back as well. You do actually have all of the ammunition like as actual molded parts inside there. There we go, not too easy to actually pull that out of there, but just wanted to pull that piece out just so you guys could see. That's what that looks like on the inside, and you can kind of see that slightly through the little grooves here on the sides of the bazooka. Now you can see a little hole right here for where this is going to be able to attach onto the back side of the Gundam. If we fold down this little tab here on the back skirt, this does 2 things. Number 1, this is a hard point for where you can attach this onto an action base. This doesn't have an action base adapter, and it doesn't have anywhere up underneath the skirt to be able to plug it onto an action base. So this is one of the spots where you can plug the action base into the kit. Also, this little flap that folds out there acts as a little bit which will plug into here for being able to attach the bazooka onto the back skirt. Moving on to the beam rifle then, this does have the camera on the top which will move side to side, the forward handle which will move side to side there as well. And this one, similarly, really nice design here on this one, doesn't have any seam lines anywhere on this, a lot of great details, and this is going to fit onto the back skirt in the exact same way. You just put this through that hole there for the trigger, and then that's plugged there onto the back skirt. This can also be plugged onto the backpack, and that's going to be by attaching it onto the back side of the shield. But here's how the shield looks. Some nice details on this one as well, with the kind of standard look on the front. On the back side though, I do like this gray piece with this like mechanical support system in there, looking very kind of realistic on the back side of the shield. Looks nice, a lot of great detail. Again, this connection system here can slide up and down on a track like that. This part at the top will fold out, and this is what connects onto the back side of the arm for when in use. And then also down here, we have a handle that will fold out. The handle, importantly, is square shaped, and the hole in the hand is also square shaped. So if you wanted to be able to hold the shield like straight out like that, you can do so without it like falling down like that. If it was just a regular round handle and you tried to do that, if you didn't glue it or something, it would just fall down. But because it's square, it should be able to hold the shield straight out, which is nice. So that folds out, and a little groove up there at the top when the handle is folded in fits onto this light gray part here on the backpack, slots into place there, and then the shield can be mounted onto the backpack. Now, like I was just saying a moment ago, the beam rifle can also be attached onto the backpack by connecting it onto the inside of the shield. So there's this little bit here at the top. This part will fold out, and in the same way that we attach the beam rifle onto the back skirt, we can attach the beam rifle onto the back of the shield as well. And then right here, you can see we have slots for attaching the beam saber handles as well. Those are just gonna be up here on the backpack anyway. There's not really too much of a point to attach them onto the back side of the shield, but you can attach those onto the shield if you want. And then, like I said, attach the shield onto the back, and you can store the rifle up on the back there like that, and that keeps this hip connection piece cleared to store the bazooka onto there if you wanted to. Now, a couple other things for accessories. We do have our clear pink beam saber effect parts here, and then we've got 3 little pieces of landing gear that can be used with the core fighter if you want to have the core fighter displayed out. Unfortunately though, this doesn't have any way of putting the kit together in full without the core fighter being inside. It's not like the original kit where you had a core block that you could put in there instead of the core fighter and then have the core fighter out separately. Really would have been nice if that would have been included with this, and I really hope that we might see like some third-party option part set that just makes a simple core block to be able to put in here instead of the core fighter. That would really be nice to see. But to take out the core fighter, there's a little latch here on the back that you have to open up. So once you have that detached, you can go around here to the front, and the cockpit part opens up in 2 separate sections. This part opens down, this part opens up like so. Then you can kind of separate this lower part of the torso, and then you can get the core fighter out of here like so. And that's how it's going to look all folded up inside the Gundam. But of course, we can unfold everything out here, fold the nose cone back that pushes the fin up there. You can then extend this out, and I will say it is kind of tricky to get that pulled out there like that, but it has that clear part for the canopy, which looks really nice. The wings just fold out to the side as normal, and that's pretty much it. Like I said, you do have the landing gear you can attach on the bottom as well. This doesn't have a hard point anywhere on this or any particular way of mounting this onto an action base if you wanted to have this flying off on its own, so that's kind of disappointing. But then again, if you're going to be building this kit, like I said, you can't build the Gundam without this inside, so I can't imagine many people are really going to be wanting to do much with the core fighter, because then you have all the rest of the kit that you kind of can't really do anything with. It's just 2 halves with no way to put them together. But anyway, just to talk a little bit more about a couple of additional gimmicks here with this. So the beam saber handles up here at the top, these have a really interesting gimmick where you can point this whole part back to kind of reach back and grab that, or you can point that back and then this will actually rotate forward to simulate kind of reaching up over the shoulder to grab the beam saber off the backpack. So the part of the backpack that kind of rotates up around like that to make the beam saber handle easier to grab is really nice. That's super cool. And then also these thruster bells on the backpack can of course move up and down there. And at the center of the backpack, another interesting gimmick, this part folds down, and inside there that gives us another hard point for being able to plug this onto an action base. So you have 2 options, whether you want to plug it into the back of the skirt or the backpack. Those are going to be your attachment points for plugging this onto an action base. And then you may have seen just there a moment ago, but these parts for the side of the shoulder armor can also move up and out of the way like that. So for depending on how you're having the kit posed or something like that, the fact that those shoulder armor pieces can move up and out of the way is really nice. Then to get them back into their normal position, even once they're down, they're not like totally closed up. They're on the top. You can just press them together to get them to look tightly closed again. Now, Because the core fighter is there in the center, we're not going to have any ab crunch in like the typical ab area, but what's actually going to move is the whole top, like the blue part of the torso will move up and down like so. And then also, of course, this whole part of the shoulder, kind of part of the torso, the connection piece, will also move up and down there. And that will ultimately allow you to bring the arm almost up entirely vertically to the body there like so. Otherwise, kind of standard motion here for the arm rotation and double joint there at the elbow, giving you a really nice full bend and some really nice movement there. A little bit of movement here for this forearm part, as that's just connected via a ball joint inside there, which will give you a little bit of movement in and out like so. The wrist itself is just a ball joint of the hand connected into the wrist joint there. And then going back up to the head just briefly here, you'll notice one thing, I haven't put any of the stickers on this kit. I just wanted to show you guys what the head in particular looks like without any stickers, because we have stickers for the eyes and the head cameras, but the eyes are a separate yellow piece. The head cameras is a separate clear pink piece there at the front, and that goes around to the back as well. But here, as you can see, unless you have like good lighting on it, it's not gonna be, and even here, I mean, I have like good lighting in here, but it's gonna be hard to make out that clear pink piece in there for the head. So you might want to throw those stickers on just because they're going to catch the light nicer. But of course, the part separation, everything here on the head, the details looks fantastic there as well. Really like the mold, the sculpt of that, and the neck joint as well. If we take a look here, the head, because of the way the neck joint is designed, can actually look really far up, which is really nice. It's a kind of a trick that a lot of kits can't really do all that well. Down here in the hip section, all of our skirting armor is able to move really nicely. We have really nice detail up underneath these armor panels there for the skirt, and even underneath a lot of these white armor panels. If you look on the inside of these pieces, a lot of these have molded detail on the inside of those parts. So there's the front skirts, side skirts, all of these just move on ball joints. And ball joints in a way that they're not going to fall off easily, like with the 1.0. The skirting armor tends to fall off kind of easily, but not so much with this one, which is nice. And for our hip joint, it's made in a way that this is going to drop down into the front here, which will give you a higher range of motion up to the front with the leg. Once again, a nice full double joint here with separating armor of the knee and the thigh, all separating into 3 sections there. The knee armor into 2 pieces, the thigh armor slides separately. So really nice separation of that joint there at the knee. And then going down to the bottom of the leg, this part here on the back of the lower leg also opens up like that. And I'm not exactly sure like functionally what this might be able to let you do. I guess is to be able to move the foot farther back like that, I suppose maybe. Yeah, because otherwise if you just try to angle the foot back, yeah, it pushes that armor piece back there when you do it. So that's pretty cool. And then you can't really tilt the foot down or point the toe down any further than that. The foot's gonna remain flat, but you can bend the toe part up in 2 sections that will point up, but not down, unfortunately. It just stays flat like that, with some really nice detail there underneath. And of course, then the side to side bend here at the ankle, also really nice, and that works really well there. So anyway, guys, let's take a look at some poses here with this kit. And so how I want to break this down is to basically 4, 5-ish differences, key differences between the 1.0 and the 2.0 that I think you should consider. And they're not exactly pros or cons, they're just differences that you should consider. So one, we talked about with the hands. This one only features fixed pose hands. The previous version, the 1.0, did have like kind of a little bit more articulated hands. I would say it's definitely a pro for the 2.0, but it's kind of up to you whether you really wanted those articulated hands with the 1.0, even though I think they're not very good. The other point we kind of saw there in the unboxing portion is that this kit does not use any of the advanced MS joint that the first kit kind of like introduced to the world at that time, being a 1/44 scale, like pre-molded advanced MS joint runner. And we don't have any of that with this kit. Now again, whether that's a pro or a con is totally up to you. For me personally, I don't mind it at all. The fact that this doesn't have that advanced MS joint runner or any of the pre-molded frame. I think building this as essentially just like a miniature master grade, I think works perfectly fine, and the kit works great. The other point would also be the lack of the RG style multi-tone colors. Now we do have multiple tones of white, basically 2 different tones of white, mostly white, and then a few parts here and there in that off-white light gray color. But as far as the blue goes, we only have just one shade of blue. As far as the red goes, you only have one shade of red. Now, it doesn't make it as colorful as the previous version, but for me personally, I think that this kit looks great as it is, and it wouldn't be too difficult to, you know, repaint a couple of the parts if you really want to create that RG style look of having like multiple shades of blue, multiple shades of red, for example. And then another difference, which I would definitely say is actually a pro for the 1.0, is the fact that it does feature the core block and the core fighter as separate parts, so that if you don't want to have the core fighter inside the Gundam, you can just put the core block in there and you can have the core fighter separately. That's definitely something that I feel like this version is missing, and it's unfortunate, but hopefully we might see like a part set or something for that. Again, like I mentioned earlier, come out later on. But otherwise, guys, like I said, it really just kind of comes down to, you know, as the visual aesthetic, which one do you prefer, this one or that one? This one has a little bit kind of like that freckly appearance, with it having a lot of these small little armor cutouts where you can have the parts of the frame poking out through the armor. Some people like that aesthetic. I think probably a lot of people do, but some people might not. They might like the look of the 1.0 having a different look just for the design of the armor on it and just proportions and everything. So different things to consider, guys, but let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think overall? I mean, of course, it's an absolutely fantastic kit. I love it. I think it's a really huge improvement overall to the 1.0, in my opinion. It, of course, does away with so much of the jankiness of the 1.0. The 1.0, I feel like it gets a bad rap, but it is a little bit janky. This one, you don't have any of that. It's super solid, really nice parts on there, really nice design. No seam lines or anything on that. The color separation, the part separation is fantastic. I love the fact that we have the fixed pose hands on this one. That's great, and hopefully will be a standard for a lot more kits in the future. But for now, guys, if you want to check out the kit for yourself, check the link in the video description to USA Gundam store. And like I said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If there's anything that you think I missed, let me know in the comments as well. And again, if you guys missed the live stream build of this, go back and check that out, because there was kind of more stuff that I talked about a little bit more in depth during the live stream. But for now, that's just about going to do it for taking a look at the 40th real grade in the line, the version 2.0 here of the RX-78-2. Absolutely fantastic kit, love it, and looking forward to working on it some more in the near future. But for now, guys, thanks so much for checking out the video. Make sure to leave a like while you're here, and make sure that you're subscribed. Really appreciate all of your support. Thank you so much. Until next time, hope you guys all have a great day. See y'all later. Bye-bye.